Today is Monday the 15th of May 2017. This is the location of the former Nazi concentration camp of Gusen. It's a sub-camp, or was a sub-camp, of Mauthausen. It was built on this location to be able to profit from the quarries which had existed here for some time. Both Mauthausen and Gusen are based on quarries which was designed to supply stone to above all for Linz. This was part of Hitler's idea of creating a new Linz, his architectural dreams, things he did with Albert Speer, a person who does bear a great deal of responsibility for the crimes that went on at these camps. Before I go into too much detail, let's have a look at the model for this camp. You can see the amount of barracks that there were, the quarries, the railways which took stone away and brought in that equipment which was available. Here there were around 37,000 victims. The majority of the victims were in 44-45, although people were killed here right from the very beginning. Another interesting point is Gusen 2, which is a thing called Bergkristall. It was a tunnel system. Parts of it have been recently explored. A number of claims were made about what might have gone on there, and that found its way into the news, although those claims have been refuted. I won't go on that right now, maybe some other time. We have a small museum here. It's closed on Mondays. Today's a Monday. This is the location of the crematorium. Now, at the beginning, both Mauthausen and Gusen, the victims were murdered elsewhere, or alternatively, their bodies, when they died, were cremated in other places, but there were so many of them, it no longer made sense to take them away, so they were burnt here. Last week was the anniversary of the liberation of the camps in this area. I was at Ebensee, which is about 50 kilometers or so from here, as a location of a tunnel system which was opened as from November 1943. There were a lot of people at Ebensee for that. In fact, I've attended a number of things related to the liberation of Nazi camps. Above all, I would mention that I was at the 50th and 60th anniversaries of the liberation of Auschwitz, and I've been at Sobibor on many a times. I have never seen so many people as I saw then, and people came from all sorts of countries, from near and afar. And if we just have a look here, we can see memorials, from flowers I should say, from people from Italy, from Hungary, from Austria, from Spain. There's a number of Spanish Republican prisoners were brought here. They were taken in France, where there had been refugee camps, and brought here from Romania. So large parts of Europe. These here, all from Poland. A very large amount of the victims of Gusen were Polish. There we have somebody who was one of the first, sorry, not one of the first, but an early victim, I should say, on the 12th of May 1941. And a gentleman there who was born only a month after Hitler, the person for whom all of this was done. So he's 52 years old, and nearly, and he was brought here to work in conditions which were extremely difficult. Many of the victims are from 1945. Here we have Jan Gierdik, who took part in the Warsaw Uprising, and he was brought here and died on the 17th of April 1945. people were taken prisoner during the Warsaw Uprising later were actually treated a POW status, but not the first ones. Some of them ended up in Auschwitz, many ended up here. One of the things you do get here is that people can put their own plaques up. Now, in Sobibor, I was at a conference on this subject, and the assumption there was it wasn't fair unless you either put everybody's name in the plaque up or you put nobody's up. One way that the Poles have got around this is to put first names up, which is a good way. But I do, of course, appreciate that people do want a plaque of their family members somewhere here. One day they could become a problem, but as you can see, there's still plenty of space left to do so. I noticed this gentleman here, for example, in uniform. Don't quite know what uniform it is though. Died 21st of July 1941. I'll also mention here, something from Spain, Pedro Rodriguez Gil. So he died 29th of August, 41 years old, but his wife and children remember him. Somebody who was shot, Felix Selvon, and he owned the stoneworks in Warsaw. And a student from Sejny, Jewish, and Sejny is on the Polish-Lithuanian border, still is and was then. That's one of the few places where the border stayed in the same place. So I'm picking out these at random to actually to mention them. So you can get, like here, Luxembourg is just a blanket stone for everybody, whereas others, it's the family which may mention it. Mort pour la France. Did he die for France? 21st December 1944. The wife of Albert Mouton left that stone. One thing about putting the stones up, of course, we have this, the province of Genoa, in order not to forget, and puts up this big stone here for the names which are on it. But as I said, you can see how this could become a problem. I'd like to mention this here because this is a language you don't often see. This is Catalan and Torello for the victims of the Holocaust, and especially those of its own country, people from its own area, I should say, who were assassinated in this camp. One of the signs here mentions it was the Spanish Republicans who were the first to fight, which is true. Spanish Republicans fighting against fascism or Francoism in 1936. So on the 75th anniversary of the death of Jan Świetny, who was a known compositor and scholar or teacher, so in memory of Polish evangelists. Honour to the French victims of Nazi barbarism. Mort pour la France, to the die for France and the liberty of the world. That's what it says. Polish patriots killed by Nazis at Gusen. And there you have a memorial of 37,000 victims of KL concentration camps, Gusen 1 and Gusen 2.